It's 3 o'clock, and it looks like you and I are the sole attendees so far. Turn on your video. I can't do it. Ask to start video. I can ask you, but I can't. Okay, I can't. I'm going to let you in. Oh, Kathy, it says your video is going, but I still don't see you. Can you hear me? Can people hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, I heard something.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. Robert McCrae, let's see. A lot of people are coming in, and it shows that their video is not set up.
Hi, Jack.
Oh, good. Robin, both video and audio are working. The others are having problems with, and I can't force it, the video or the audio to work.
You know that the URL that I used from the meetup page was rejected as invalid by the application, the Zoom application, but it did work when I split up the meeting code from the password and entered each separately, which I've never had to do before.
Yeah. I just used it myself, and I had no problem. But remember, I'm host, and so they may.
It should be exactly the same for you as for us, and so I'll be surprised if other people are able to join without having to go through this rigmarole that I just did.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm experienced enough, right? I mean, I tried it 2 or 3 different ways. The Zoom app needed to be updated, because I haven't used it for 4 or 5 days.
Right.
And Zoom is in such deep trouble that they're probably updating the app every 2 hours. I read actually from a quite reputable source that they have 700 developers working in 3 locations in China doing the code.
Oh, wow.
It sounds like an awful lot of people, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
I mean, there are only like 600 people in Automatic in total.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the interesting thing. I've been using Zoom just about every day for quick consults and family transactions, and I haven't had a problem with it.
Actually, Jack, I think you should move forward because you're so far from your microphone that it sounds like you're in another room altogether.
Okay, let's see if I can get closer.
It's about half the volume that
Maybe
you'd
it's,
expect.
I don't have my full volume on. Yeah, it's
Okay,
is that improved?
slightly, but I think it's the distance you are from the microphone.
I don't know where the microphone is.
You're using a notebook microphone. It doesn't work very well if you're more than 2-3 feet away. You look like you're sitting back a ways. Anyway, it just
Okay, let me just get some more people.
it's hard to hear.
Okay. Oh, there's Dale. She's here. And Kathy still doesn't have unmute her. Let's see if that will work. There's a lot that have come in muted. Oh, there. Kathy is unmuted, so she should be able to say hello. Can you say hello, Kathy?
Hi, it's Kathy.
Oh, good. I just I have a plague of people that are muted. And
Kathy,
Yes.
tell us how Jack sounds in terms of the volume of on his end. Are you hearing him clearly?
Yes,
I've been
I am.
having a little trouble.
I hear him fine as well. It's Fred.
Okay.
good.
So maybe I could turn my volume up, I guess, but
You're coming through, Robin, clearly on my side.
talking difference between microphones and speakers.
So should I keep that 045 number handy?
Okay, I'm gonna unmute all. So all are unmuted.
Where's the volume control on this thing?
You're coming in very clear.
Oh, good.
It's me, Dale.
So every morning it will ask me for that?
Jack, I have to mute myself because my wife is working in the same office here.
Ah,
I'll try that.
okay, now let me just see. In terms of cameras, Robin is on. Okay, and I'm on, and Dale is coming through with a standard picture.
Yep.
Okay.
You don't want to see me today.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No, but that is just, if people want to use a standard picture, that's an alternative to their name in the speaker view here. Okay, I'm gonna just quickly go and to share screen. And you should see the first page of the presentation. Do people see that?
Yes.
Yep. I think that's what I'm seeing.
I see it.
Good. Now let's see. By the way, this is really interesting. WordPress has really reached the top of the CMS heap in terms of marketplace presentation by providing ease of use with no coding required. Now crux of this presentation will be, let's relax that no coding required in order to promote better CSS styling. And you'll see that in the various slides, how as you become more CSS conscious, you get better page styling results. But that's just an overview. Let me go back now, stop the share, and just make sure that I've let in all the people that want in. Let's just do.
Did you figure out, Jack, how to get a recording?
Sorry?
Did you figure out how to obtain a recording?
It says it's recording this time, but I just
Right,
did
but
a
didn't you
session
think
with
that
the
was the
family
case last time
yesterday,
too?
and it didn't record it.
Doesn't reliably record?
Yeah, they got a little warning that says, well, recording may or may not work depending upon the time of day, et cetera, et cetera. I kid you not. That's what Zoom is trying to say.
Boy, they're really, well, anyway.
My screen says you're recording.
They've got nearly 400 to 500% increase in terms of number of users and so forth. If you watch, for example, I have the Daily Show with people like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and so forth. They're all using Zoom big time.
We'll see what happens with all the news that's come out in the last couple of weeks as to whether they remain the web conferencing app of choice as a result.
I tried WebEx, which I used to use Skype, and they treated me badly, so I refused to go back there. But I tried WebEx, but they don't have all the features that are available here: waiting rooms, different layouts of the page, and so forth. And the maximum number of users is 100 in the case of working with Zoom, but it's only 50 in the case of WebEx. And the price is slightly higher in the case of WebEx. So I'll probably take a look at it again, but it may be when things get desperate. Okay, Fernando is back for the third time. Let's see if he gets in. Yep, or at least he is appearing on screen. Okay. So at 7, we passed quorum. So I'll get started fairly shortly with the presentation. There's lots of samples. We'll be able to see styling actually being done. If people have styling problems that they would like us to take a look at, that's the other option as well. Okay. See, there was oh, Fernando is. It looks like your audio is working. Is it?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay.
Okay.
How you doing, Jack?
So I'm going to get started, which means I'm going to go back. By the way, I'm going to be sharing the screen, and I'm not using the full PowerPoint share display, and the reason is because it's yours truly, Zoom, still doesn't transition from a PowerPoint to other things when you're in the share mode. So if you leave it as just another app, you see it like, let me show you. Let's see, nobody reading. Okay. So you see the full slide, and you can see on the left-hand side the sequence of slides coming in. But then it's easier to make a transition. So I would say stop share, and then share again. But this time show you a screen associated with some of the work that I'm doing. This is the Zoom screen, but I could also show you the page builder screen. By the way, this is one of the primary test screens that I've been using in this application. And here's an interesting point. Notice that on one WordPress website, I have Divi Builder, Beaver Builder, and Elementor all running all at the same time. And there's no conflict, even when I use fairly sophisticated third-party plugins with these builders. So people that say the builders cause conflicts and crashes, I'm finding it a little bit different than what, and it also occurs. Let me just go over the fall events.
So Jack, is there, so we have the underlying page itself, then we have modules from each of the 3 page builders. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, yeah.
So which was a page builder used for the page itself, or
yes,
or what?
Divi was used for the page itself.
So you could say that Divi can host itself plus Beaver and Elementor.
Yeah.
Right.
On the home page, but then
right. I wonder how a Gutenberg page or a block editor, a standard page, whether that would be exactly the same in effect, so to speak, hosting 3 page builders.
Yeah.
Because what we know now is that a Divi page can do it.
I know that this used to be, homepage used to be just a standard page. This used to just be a standard page. It's now a Divi page, but it used to be just a standard WordPress page, with Visual Builder.
But what would be the point of using 3 different page builders though? Like, I don't see the point,
Oh, it's just for page builder testing. This
I
is,
see.
This is my master place where I test, for example, let me just go into the Divi Builder demo.
Yeah, also it would take a lot of resources from your system too if you got like the 3 builders running at the same time, right?
Yeah, I admit that, but I'm on SiteGround on their super site, and so I get pretty good response time.
That's good.
Relatively speaking, but see, this allows me then to try out the various plugins, particularly display plugins, and some of the photo design work, like, for example, use of special separators with various curves and so forth. And these are full full capability. This is, I think it's Foo Gallery, but it may be some other gallery. But I've been testing these out just to see how they work among all the different page builders, to see which page builders deliver and which page builders falter. And I've done the same thing with, so this is the case of, let's go back to the home and go to Beaver Builder demo. I just did, you saw that animation and hover, see, as I hover over a a column, I can have very specific editing and page styling, or in this case, column styling. But this, let's see here, I've changed, and that's an important point. I can change. See here, I'm using a red box shadow. Here, I'm using a green one, and here I'm using a blue one. And the capability to do that is very nice. That's the type of capability that stylers want. And so this gives me an opportunity to test this out. So let's go to the GDPR overview. And this is all Elementor. And with, again, I was testing how they did box shadow among the 3 different page builders, and they're all pretty good. They're very good, in fact, with margins, padding, box shadows, text shadows, and animations. Let's just go back real quickly to the Beaver Builder demo, and I think I put, yes, I did. You'll see it at the bottom there. I'll just reload the screen, and you see the coming down in the middle and from the left and right of the 3 columns. So this has been very helpful in doing this review and presentation, having the ability to quickly move among the different page builders and see how well they deliver on the various capabilities that we'll be covering. So that's just a background. So let's go back to, now I have to switch. I don't think I can switch. I can switch when I'm here. Maybe I can. Let's try this. Yeah, there it is. Good.
Sorry, Jack, quick question. Are you saying you can run more than one builder on the same page?
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, other than doing the following. Using some advanced CPT, that's custom post types, I've been able to run Elementor inside Divi.
I see, okay. Okay, yeah.
And it's because Divi couldn't handle the CPT, but Elementor could. But
okay.
You see what I'm doing? I'm trying things and discovering what works and what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, does everybody see the WordPress styling tools first page of the presentation? Is that the slide they see?
No, we're looking at the what is now available at the photo finishes.
Okay, so I have to stop the share and start the share again. Don't like that. I thought I could, let's see, Alt share, Alt S. You know, doing all this. And we'll put it over here. Share. Now do people see the
Yes.
good. Okay, so let's get started. We're about 10 minutes in, but by the way, I have 4 hours worth of time reserved. The last time I did a presentation, I reserved only 3 hours, and then we went 20 minutes overtime, and Zoom kicked us off. So they expect you to take only as much as you came for, so to speak. Okay, so let's take a look at the overall advantage that WordPress has right now in the marketplace is partially due to the fact that it has some of the best ease of use capabilities and no coding required aspects to its plugins and themes. So let's just take a look at how true that can be. And WordPress uses ease of use and CSS styling to dominate CMS. WordPress has a 60% share of the CMS marketplace. Current W3 Tech's status, and that's as of the end of March. And that includes almost all the major CMSs, the Drupal, Joomla, Squarespace, Shopify. You know, the list is quite long. And old rivals, Drupal and Joomla, really trail behind at less than 5% market share compared to WordPress. And even the new challengers, Shopify and Squarespace, are less than 5%. So consistently, WordPress has been the pioneer in ease of use innovations for the last 4 or 5 years, at least. Also, WordPress itself and third-party plugins have delivered no coding required tools. And that's things like page builders, but also sliders and galleries and management tools, back-end tools as well, Yoast and so forth, where they take over a lot of the tasks that you would have to either do in PHP or you would have to do manually. For example, XML sitemaps is what almost all of the SEO plugins now manage for you. No coding required is fastest growing in enterprise application programming. And what I mean by that, there is a whole category of tools that when you first look at them, things like on-site and progress and Appian Way and so forth, you say to yourself, oh, that looks like a WordPress app. But then when you do a build with, you discover, no, these aren't WordPress apps, they're specialized apps. And they're enterprise specialized apps. So no coding required is the fastest growing enterprise application programming category. But there's a limitation to that, and that is the price on those are somewhere between $2,500 to $10,000 a month. So yes, they are enterprise capable, but you're paying a pretty penny to get that capability. And the other problem is that it's quite mixed as to what those LCAPs, LCAP means low coding application programming requirements. These enterprise tools can do. The features, the cost, the effectiveness of the tools varies quite substantially. So in effect, WordPress is starting to build up more and more capabilities that are being used not just at the SMB, small business side, but it's starting to be adapted in medium-sized and even, as we know in the case of New York Times and so forth, large-scale applications. So it pays to now know simple, non-procedural web languages as they give you an enhanced capability in terms of, yeah, you're going to do no coding required, but if you know a little CSS and HTML to expedite the web development, you get more bang for your buck, more productivity, more effectiveness with clients' requirements. And that's what this presentation is going to be all about.
Oh, Lord.
That we relax some of the requirements in terms of CSS and no coding required. And CSS styling is really critical, is a critical WordPress advantage. And we're going to see that in the sense that the ability to quickly change the look and style of your page for different circumstances and different customers is a real advantage in the marketplace. So let's take a look. If we look at the WordPress ease of use history, WordPress started out in 2004 with no coding, 5-minute install, and system upgrade. That was one of the first features, and that's what really captured its marketplace leadership position. But that was quickly followed by themes and templates, and then enhanced visual editing with the auto spell check and save by 2007, so 3 years later. And by 2009, you were doing drag and drop widget design and updates, and also in menus. And third parties came on, particularly in the 2010, 2012 time range with sliders with full width, many transitions, captions, etc., set to WordPress. And those plugins stimulated a similar advancement and innovation on the gallery side of images, with the capabilities for doing complete layout of galleries in either masonry layout or justified layout or grid layout. And then you, by clicking on an image, you would see it in a light box window so that you could see the full image and curse through those. And that's everybody's doing that now. In fact, but the other watershed came in 2011 with the first plug-and-play page builders. This was Site Origin was the first, followed quickly by Visual Composer. And very interestingly, menu systems with full drag and drop and multi-menu layouts followed very quickly. And finally, there's been a rush in ever since 2014 with live content page builders, which delivered just a whole range of things. But one of the things from the styling point of view was advanced animations and parallax scrolling was delivered very early in the page builders. And as soon as one would get it, everyone else had to follow suit. In 2017, Gutenberg brought drag and drop blocks, page editing into the WordPress core. And that threat that WordPress people would have to use the Gutenberg blocks in order to do page building has really stimulated the page builders and theme builders, and they're now delivering at a very rapid pace all sorts of innovations across the board. We're going to see the page styling innovations that they've been doing. And in 2018, page builders inaugurated templates, custom post types, and theme building capabilities with Oxygen and Elementor leading and everybody following. Divi, Beaver Builder. Beaver was actually early with theme building as well. So you can see there's a long history ever since the very beginning of WordPress ease of use. Now what's happening is that WordPress is starting to bring ease of use to CSS styling. There's a 3-stage process here in terms of ease of use in CSS styling. First, there's CSS code insertion plugins like Embed Code and Custom CSS JS, in which you know what CSS you want to put in, and discovery of that is part of this presentation. We'll be looking at that just shortly. And Embed Code and Custom CSS and JS plugins allow you to put that code in the right place so that it doesn't get written over. You can use the customize advanced CSS option, but the problem with that is that doesn't get carried when you change your theme. The advanced CSS that you've recorded in the customizer is not carried over. It's sort of like having to have a custom theme. A second theme to preserve your PHP and CSS code changes. When you upgrade a theme, many of the themes require a special second custom theme. But that's the first stage. The first stage is find out what CSS you want to put in and then put those in. Now, why would you do that when you have, let's say, page builders and the themes providing you with the CSS code and the styling that you need? You just say to yourself, well, I don't need this. Well, you do. It turns out that I always run into slight problems. You know, it doesn't quite fit to the margin. The styling doesn't have quite the colors that I was and the clients were expecting, and so forth. And I can't get the theme or the page builder to deliver what the client is expecting. And so that's where you need this first level CSS knowledge and systems to upgrade your website's theme. The next level is CSS styling detection and insertion using CSS Hero and Yellow Pencil plugins. Like the free Site Origin CSS Premium plugin, they work so that instead of having to discover using the Chrome Inspect or the Firefox Inspect facility to discover where the page styling has gone wrong and how you need to fix it, these tools spot it and allow you to change the code directly. And they have special files. And so if you change your theme or change your page builder, the CSS code is preserved that you've added in. And finally, the third step is page builders themselves are pretty robust. Remember, there are times where you find that the page builder just ain't doing what you want, but most of the time they are. And in terms of the creation and refinement of page styling with no CSS JavaScript required, they're pretty darn good. You use point and click options, and we'll be seeing that shortly in many of the demos. And so think of it as if you wanted to and need to depart from doing no coding required CSS styling and page styling, you've got 3 levels of entry. You can do it with code insertion, CSS code insertion plugins, but then you've got to be able to identify the CSS code changes. Or you use CSS styling detection and insertion plugins, or you use a page builder, and if it can't do the job, then you got to go back to the first or second level tools. I personally use page builders for most of my CSS styling. I just find that the point and click options and so forth are so comprehensive and so useful. I stick with that as long as I can, and then I resort back to the other tools. So let's take a look at breaking the WP no coding mantra. There's browser visual inspectors. And here's an example of where I've gone in and changed the home page. And what I've done is, this is in, I believe it is in Chrome, but it could have been, for that matter, Fox Pro. And what you do is you hover over with your mouse the area where things aren't right, and then you right mouse click, and you get a list of the inspector shows you what CSS and what HTML is being used, and you then hover over it. So let's do a quick. We'll stop this share. We'll go into this share, and we'll go to the home. Okay, and what I want to do is style this page. Okay, and I want this home to come over in the center, and I want it to be red, the text type to be red. Now, I could do this in a page builder, but I just want to show what's involved in doing the discovery of what code to change. So we right mouse click, put on the inspector, and notice it's already showing me H1 entry is the code that has to change. Entry title is it's a class, entry title, and so that's the code that needs to change. So if we go over here, let's see if I can move this, yeah. So if I go over to entry title, they allow you to try it, and so I'm going to put in color. Notice I gotta know what CSS code, and notice home, bang, is now red. And so the other thing I want to do is put that in the center, and I do that by saying text align. Again, see, you got to know the CSS, and we'll put in text align center, and see what happened. It moved right over to the center. And so in effect, I'm able to make changes to the styling on the page and see that it works. And I'll do one additional one, and I'll make this, let's see, I'm going to make this, now I'm going to go a little higher. There. I want this to go white as the background color. So where do I go? It says I should go to ID post 13. So I'm going to put it in ID post 13 if I can find that over here. And as you see, it's not necessarily a simple find. There's body. They don't find ID. And so I wanted to do this to show you that there's times where using the visual inspector supplied by the various browsers, in this case, it's Chrome, but it could be Firefox or Opera, or even Edge has a pretty good one as well. But see, there's a problem. I can't get, I can't find easily the code, the CSS code here in the right-hand column that affects this whole area here. And it might be post 13, but I don't see post 13. Let's just go through this again. Do we see post 13? No, at least I don't see it. So I'm doing this to show you the problem associated with using the visual inspector. First, it allows you to find stuff, but not all the time. And second, it allows you to try out your CSS code and watch what happens when to home when I refresh the page. It reverted. Home became black and it aligned to the left. That's it's only a temporary fix. It's not the real thing. So you found what the CSS and styling should be, and you've made the changes and see that they work, but you can't make it permanent. And that's where the CSS styling tools come in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into customize. We're going to close off the inspector because we don't need that now. And we're going to go into additional CSS. And we're going to add, notice you don't have to put in any style statement. You can just add your CSS code directly. But we have to remember what the class was, and I believe it was dot entry title. Then open brace, and they add a brace right away for you, a closing brace, so you can't go totally wrong. And so then we're going to put in color red, color colon red, and notice home changed to red. And we'll put text align and we're going to say center. Oh, by the way, they give you hints as to what you should put in. So let's take advantage of that, and bang, it moved to the center of the page. So this is one way in which you have one of these persistent problems that you can't figure it out, and the page builder has carried you so far through pretty well, but geez, I just couldn't get it right. Okay, and notice that if we publish this, this will persist. So we'll publish it. We'll close this. And the home is now centered and it's colored red. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try the second level tools that will help us identify. Let's just do one thing, and that's remove this fix. Okay, and so we're going to go down to additional CSS, and we're going to put a comment slash forward slash, and notice what happened. As soon as I put in that forward slash, I didn't even have to close it, but I will close it. And just to show you that that is how it's working, we will move this And notice it and quickly it comes here. And so we'll put in, we'll just take out the text align center. And to do that, notice the home scooted over to the left side, and it's no longer taking that. Now I'm going to get rid of all of this by putting in a closing brace, and then take this comment and move it to the top, and it'll all disappear. Bang. So we're back to where we want to be. So now the next thing we're going to do is use a tool that allows us to see and identify what the CSS that we need to change is, and allows us to insert it. And it's one of the best free tools for doing fixes to your CSS styling or your page styling for that matter. And all your efforts with various CSS tools and page builders and page styling, just you can't get it to work properly. And we saw that, or a sample of that, when we tried to get all the area here in, we wanted to change the background color to white, and we weren't able to figure out what, where to set the code. So we'll close this. Oh, sorry. All I want to do is, yeah, we're going to lost them. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the themes. I've preloaded in site origin CSS. It's a tool that if you need to do hard CSS changes, styling changes, this is the is one of the better ones. And it oh, they want me to update now. I better do that. Notice I have not yet installed WordPress 5.4. I found that 5.4 causes certain page building things to go wrong, so I'm waiting for an update on that. So in any case, now let's go into custom CSS. This is under appearance, and we're going to go to custom CSS, and you can see I'm already using CSS to change things on this particular website. The background color, the admin header bar, and so forth. I'm changing a whole bunch of things that darn I couldn't get them to work. What I want to show you is I'm going to implement these. Notice they've been blocked out with comments, CSS comments. Now they suddenly, bang, become activated. So we're going to save the CSS, and we're going to go see what it does. There's what it does. It puts everything in a white background. But we also added a gray background to the some of the areas of the slider. So now what I want to do is just show you how helpful this tool is. So just like it works, just like the Visual Inspector in Chrome browser or various browsers. So what I'm going to do is click on this, and it's going to tell me this is the code that I should be changing. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Notice it's inserted this in the And what I'm going to try now is I want to justify this text block here, this paragraph. Let's see if I have the right block and selector chosen. Next.
Jack, a question.
Yeah, sure.
When I see a string of CSS, I mean, I guess those are what, classes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
There
Every one of those is doing something, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's there for a reason. And so, do you all feel uncomfortable about banging away with something that you have no idea what those 5 classes are there for or doing?
I used to have, but
I mean, I can see experimenting and iterating and so on. That makes sense. I guess I feel a little intimidated with the way
Yep.
Page builders work with so many classes that are cryptic in terms of their labels. Yep. You kind of have to go with, I guess, by faith, right? That somebody knows what they're doing. But if you look sort of at the code of a page, I mean, it can be quite bewildering. Yep. How many classes are involved in just the most ordinary thing.
That's
and
right.
So it makes me feel a little nervous to sort of jump in and start banging away at something where the consequences could go beyond this page, because this page is presumably built by a template, right?
You've made my point that that's why I stick with either the theme or the page builder styling as much as possible, and I only use things like site origin CSS and some of the other stuff that I'll be showing you when I have a problem for which I couldn't get a solution using
in other words, by exception, right?
Yep.
That you fall back on that when the page builder or the theme, which should work, what, 90% of the time, 95% of the time,
right,
leave you short somehow.
Yeah. Well, now that's interesting that you said it 90 to 95% of the time. I've just been testing Cadence, which is a Gutenberg theme, and these guys have done a superb job of making pages with sub categories, not subcategories, rows and columns and so forth, similar to what you're used to with page builders like Divi and Elementor and so forth. They've done a superb job of that. And most of their CSS works, but of late, I've just been doing some work with it, and geez, it was a dog's breakfast. I couldn't get simple, it would work on one page, and then I go to the next page and put in their point and click CSS stylings and or page styling, and it wouldn't work. So I am now finding that one of my alerts, the canary in the coal mine, in this case, in the page builder, is how robust are the page stylings, the point and click page stylings that you use in that page builder? Do they always or nearly always work? And if they do, I'm much more inclined to use that page builder than others. And just to give you an example, a lot of the page builders are now allowing you to change for whether it's a mobile device versus a tablet versus a desktop device that the styling is being applied to. So you can have different styling depending upon whether it's a mobile device. Often you cut things down or just chop things and make them invisible in mobile, and then in template you restore some of them, and in desktop they're full capabilities. Well,
Jack, I just ask a question? In doing what you're talking about right now, which is to say sort of very specific changes for certain effects you want to accomplish,
Yeah.
What do you do in the way of documenting what you're doing, or do you document it at all? And the reason I ask is that I've been working off and on a site which I did a lot of work on like 2 years ago.
Right.
And I did a fair amount of documentation of what I was doing, but I didn't get down to the really fine-grained sort of CSS details that were involved. And it's almost sort of having to redo the work, because for the reason that you're solving these problems now is that you're not finding the underlying reason. You're sort of doing a hack, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is, I've been giving myself real headaches because documenting the hacks is tedious and time consuming, but coming back, 6 months or a year or 2 years, my mind's a blank as to exactly what I was doing and why did I do it that way, and how did I anticipate or deal with something related to that. Anyway, so I'm just asking you, what's your practice? What do you find works for you?
And the thing that I find that works for me is the comments that are allowed in CSS. CSS allows you, it's /**, and you can write all you want. And what I do is I say to myself, would I be able to guess what I was doing here? And in a lot of these, just by seeing its background color, margin bottom, background color, change there, and so forth, I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to understand it. I won't necessarily understand what the selector is, where it's being applied, but I can quickly check that out by commenting that out and then seeing what happens. So that is the method that I use, and there are times where I put in comments, and boy, they've been lifesavers, because in CSS, and the same is true in JavaScript, what was I doing that? And those type of comments can be quite useful. And it's, as I said, it's fairly simple. All you do is you do a /**, /*#. This is a comment.
Yeah, the one problem with that technique, and it's a good one, but I mean, it has the one weakness of you have to know where to look for the comment, because otherwise, if you've got 200 lines to look at,
yeah, right,
it's pretty hard. And then you've got 5 or 6 different places to look, depending on, did you use the customizer? Did you do an inline change? Did you do something in a module that you turned into a template? And so another way to do it, which is the one that I follow, is both tedious, but also not inherently better, because you have to read the stuff to find what you documented, right? And it's really a bore through these fine-grained details, looking for the point that you think has the answer. But it's still better than having a sort of a blank slate to look at and no idea where to go.
Right. Okay, let me just see if I've got this right, and because I want to show you another alternative, which is it's a freemium tool that grades up from site origin, and I've started using, I use site origin whenever a client is very reluctant to pay for a plugin. So then I use site origin.
Chuck, I'm sorry, it's Dale. I use site origin a while, and I'm not a CSS person, but I'm able to go in to use their program for this, and I have done it once without knowing what I was doing, and it was so good. It walked me through. It showed me where I was, what I was doing, let me do a test to see whether I'd done it right, and when I did, I saved it, done. So I highly recommend that one, because that one because it saved me when I didn't know what I was doing.
I use it because it's free of charge, And
Well, that too.
but I also like it because I haven't shown you this, but watch what it does. It gives you, so you don't have to know the CSS.
Yep, that's right.
So here's the and text, and let's see if it's gonna allow me text transform, text align, justify. But it didn't do it. See, I highlighted that, and normally it inserts in here the text that has to be changed. There it is. And I said, change this to, and it's not doing it. It's not doing the justify. Let's see. Let's just see if I've got the right thing. I'll put the text color to red. Yep, that is the correct block, the correct code. I'll text align, and we'll go back to black. And so that is correct, but for some reason it's not accepting it in the text align. Let's do text align left. Oh, look at this. It's working on the lower one. I'm going to put, see, look at that. It's working on the lower one, but it's not working on this one. This is the one just below the home. Currently, the combination of multi-purpose themes and so on and so forth is the text paragraph that I want to justify. And damned if it's going to do it for me. Now, let's just see. Let's do a more broad thing. And let's try justify on this. No, still doesn't see it. Okay. Try this one. Now try text align. Nope. So as you can see, even with the site origin CSS, this can be rather challenging to say the least. So now we're going to go to a premium tool. It's also available free, but it's truly a freemium tool. They give you a lot of capabilities in the free version, but the capabilities in the full version is really quite impressive, to say the least. So what we'll do is, first what we'll do is we'll stop this. So we'll get out. Oh, isn't that interesting? It's got the text align, but it's not text aligning. Okay.
Sorry, Jacques, it's Fred. I just want to ask if you can give me permission to record the session because I got to jump on a call with a client.
Yeah, I'm currently recording. I don't know if it's going to go to the end. That's the problem. I had a problem at the last client meeting I had.
Yeah, so I heard, yeah.
It just, I could never get the thing. But if I can, I'll send you the appropriate MP4 file.
Okay, that would be great. I'll check with you after. Like, I'll be back. I don't know how long you think this is going to take.
Oh, we're going for another hour, as long as people are interested.
Okay, I'll be back most likely.
Okay,
thanks. Thank you.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. Now to get back into the, you use the double arrow, which sends you back to the home page of Site Origin CSS. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, take it out, Then I'm going to put it back in. What I want. I want it on this entry title where I made the color red. Or actually, I used the hex code, but I know the hex code is making it red. That's the EB2323. So now, see, I must admit, I was reluctant to learn all this CSS code, but in the crunch, I find it very useful. Okay, so then we'll save this. And we'll quickly look at the page and see if it's returned. Oh, look at this, it hasn't. It should have gone to the, this should have gone to the right. And what is this under? Color red, font size, text align center. That's been commented out. For some reason, it thinks no, it isn't. Okay, let's just go back. Save the CSS and go to the page. Visit the site. Yeah, look at this. Oh, I know what that is. That's the code from. And by the way, this is Robin raised this as a problem. There's so many places that you can put CSS. You don't know where all the, and I think this is under customize. And so we'll just go into the customizer. Look at the additional CSS, and there it is. There's the offending code. Take this out, publish it, and now we've restored it to what we wanted, which is what the page looked like when we started page styling. Okay.
Jack,
so
if I could just interrupt for one moment, I just received an email from Boris, who says that he's waiting for you to accept him into the session.
Okay, so I'll manage participants. Oh yeah, there's admit. I should be looking at this from time to time. Admit. So we should have, we have now 9 participants. And let me unmute all. So they should be able to hear and speak. Part of the problem is that when there's a long list here, I can't add the participants list because it becomes too long and it goes to the end of the page. So I can't see it. Let's see. Yep. Okie doke. So that should fix that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave the origin site origin CSS and the visual inspector, and we're going to try one additional thing, and it's a inspector in Chrome, and it only works in Chrome. And so what I want to do is I want to get this. Remember, I couldn't get that to justify. Well, let's see if it transforms size, typeface. There. Let's see if it sees that. I say align left, and it doesn't align. Let's see if it will align. Oh, isn't that interesting? Doesn't see it. Now this has some code already. Let's see, post ID 13. That's the line center, entry title, yeah. Let me put in some code here. Now the problem with this, I call it the super visual inspector, is that it only works in Chrome, and it only identifies some and not all of your code. So let me go in here. No, not doing it. Okay. So it should have done it here. Nope. That's the, oh, maybe that is, nope. Okay, so two of the systems have not worked well on the text align problem. Okay, so now I'm going to close this, and notice all the CSS styling is gone, and we're back to square one. So now we're going to try micro themer. And micro themer is a little bit intimidating because you can see, look at all the things you got to know. But the basic operation is fairly straightforward. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to say a target. And what is under general? There's nothing. Okay. So you first point to the target, then you go here, and we're gonna go. Notice there's a little 1, and so we wanted. Look at this; it's seeing the same thing, entry title, and it's saying we can change the code, but I don't want to use change the code. I want to use. See, I could go in and change the code here in the entry title. I could say, let's see, the color is, oh, saying it should be. So I want it to go here. And I want this to be the, it's already there. So why isn't it, oh, I think I know. Want the font to be that's
I think it's a text attribute you're looking for. If you're still on the either centering or justifying or left aligning or whatever, that's text versus font.
yeah, no. So it should be, but
there was an alignment icon back a couple of steps right beside the text icon.
This is one of the challenges.
I want to create new.
Is we don't know. Is it going to to be 1 month? Is it going to be 2 months? Is it 3 months? We don't know that. And the problem with humans, when we don't know, it makes us more anxious.
You see right beside the, yeah, right there. Oh, that's the list.
Plan for the next
Don't
Yeah,
want that.
yes,
focus
it's
on
here.
how your family going to survive the next
Sure.
90 days.
No,
You are still generating revenue in your business. How is my business going to survive the next
oh, sorry, text to line, here it is.
to make my business survive? That's what I would focus on. Because here's the thing. The number one reason that small business owners fail in good times is because of cash. That's what happens in good times. Now we are going through a time that none of us have ever experienced in our life. Doesn't matter how
Is somebody's microphone on, Jack?
Yeah, they're gonna have to,
know how to deal with it.
that may be Fred, although his microphone is off.
Try and deal with the situation. Because that's the thing. Doing nothing is not a solution.
But what's interesting is, first, if you go here, for every one of the styling options, Microthemer gives you a help page, and it allows you to see all the references associated with using the that particular styling option. And you can use others, like text indent is what we're at here, but we could go to text align, and explains what are the settings and what will happen with, for example, here in text transform, we can capitalize, or we can put in uppercase or lowercase or none. Now, and you can quickly get rid of the help. But my problem is, it sees, it sees this as already code. Let's do cancel. Oh, there, it's gone. Okay, so if I go to target, and I don't want this, come on. Okay. Okay. Delete folder. Okay. Now go back to target, and it's going into this special page HTML mode. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. I want to go to here. Yeah, there's the one I want. Entry title. Okay, and it is chosen. So I'm going to create a selector. And I'm going to go to the font and change the color. I'll make it red. And oh by golly, I got it to go red. And now I want to do the text align, and that's this one. and I want it to be centered. So we've gotten the basics here. Now I want to get this one down here, this whole thing. So I'm going to go back up to target. And I want this to be content AST container. Yep, that's the one I want. Create the selector. And I want the background color, not shadow, background. And color, I want it to be white. And so it's created it. Okay, so now I want to go down here and justify this as in justify it at this block and only this block, not these ones below. I want to justify that and the text to be justified. So I'm first going to have to go to target. I think this is the one I want. PB row. So let's try that. And I go down to text and justify. And oh, I tell you, I'm going crazy here. Okay, so this is wrong. So what I'm going to do is delete this one. Delete that selector. Look for another one. So I have to go back to target. I mean, this is the last I'm going to do on this because there's a lot of other stuff that's a lot more interesting than fetch and catch, which we're going through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the selector. Oh, sorry. No. Okay. I want to go down here. That seems to be what I really want. Let's see if ETPB text inner H4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that as the selector. I'm going to go to the text align and I'm going to justify. Oh, did you see that? Wow. Look at the work that is required. But the interesting thing is MicroThemer was the only tool among our different tools that was able to identify the correct selector among all the, as Robin has said, all the different page builder and theme CSS styling classes and IDs. It was the only one able to identify it and finally get it changed. So now what I'll do is I want to close this off. And so what I'll do is I'll go up here and I'll clear all styles. Reset everything. Okay, let's see if it does it. Yep. So now we have the page as it originally was set up. So that's the exercise of all the first and second tools. First tools allow you to identify where your problem is in terms of your CSS styling code. The second tools allow you to not only identify where the problems are and speed up that identification process, but also allow you to insert the correct code in the CSS styling. And it has a secondary benefit that you don't need a child theme. They create their own CSS style add-on, which is put into the header of your WordPress site, either for the page or across all pages. And we won't get into that as to whether you make it global across all pages or for a specific page. I'll show you that at a future date, maybe in a year. No, I know I can do it because I've had to do it, but it's not straightforward. Okay, so now we've gotten to the point where we're going to stop the share on this, and we're going to go to back into, just want to make sure that there's no one waiting to get in. So we're going to go over to, there's 3 chats. Kathy, to everyone, I can hear and see you. Yeah, Fred is recording. No. Kathy, to everyone, will you lose any of your styling and site origin with updates to the theme or WordPress? No. And to just give you an example, I went from 5.2 to 5.3 WordPress, and on this specific site, and all the site origin code changes that I had made stayed with stayed inside the thing. So now I want to go and make sure manage participants. Close the Zoom room chat. Close. Oh, Boris is still waiting. Holy Panthers. Now he should be in. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's go back to our presentation. So we gotta go to share. Here's the presentation. Share. And this is where we looked at the the first thing we looked at was the simple test allowed with visual inspectors. You can test and see where the CSS and styling is done, and then you can try within the visual inspector to change some of the code. But the changes are not permanent. Inserting that into the WordPress program is what site origin and micro theme, and there's others like Yellow Pencil and CSS Hero. And I encourage users to try them because they're both, sorry, not CSS Hero, but Yellow Pencil is a freemium. So there's a free version, and some people say they just love Yellow Pencil. So it's right in the plugins directory. So just put in Yellow Pencil and it'll find it. You can load it up and try it out free of charge. But that, when I'm going to go here is just to show you what I've done or tried to do with the various special no coding required, breaking the WordPress no coding required mantra by using, along the way, we've tried using the Super Visual Inspector, and it certainly does work when you have it. It works just like the Visual Inspector. As long as the Super Visual Inspector, which is a Chrome extension, is enabled, then all the changes that you make and save, you have to save them, are then preserved across several pages and so forth. We did it only to one page, but a Super Visual Inspector will allow you to make changes to several different pages, and will separate those out and do the correct assignments. If you then move the code using either the customizer additional CSS, or I haven't shown you code embed. Let's see if I do show you code embed. Here's the additional CSS, and we added this code in that we found using the we were using, in this case, the Super Visual Inspector, found that this was the code that needed to be inserted, and then using the customizer's additional CSS option, you can put it in, and it is then permanently in the code. It is gone, though, if you change the theme. If you update the theme, there's not a problem. You don't need a child theme. But if you switch themes, then you do have a problem. Those changes, and if they're extensive, you've got to move them over to the new theme that you've added into your system. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is using custom CSS in JS, which is a plugin, costs $48.50 per year per website, but it has some advantages. You can also add in HTML, PHP, and JS code. So I've tended to use this because I often have to add in not just CSS code, but also JavaScript and HTML code. And this is the plugin that allows me to not only add it, but I can quickly preview the CSS and other stylings. And the plugin allows me to decide where on the site it is going to be applied to. So you can apply it to all the pages on the site or to a very specific page on the site. That capability is one of the reasons that I use custom CSS and JS plugin. I can then make the code changes across all pages or to very specific pages or posts. Okay, so the next thing we want to go to is point and click CSS stylers. And that's the ones that I showed you with site origin CSS. There's a freemium with yellow pencil. CSS Hero is the premium one, and it used to be top of the line. But interestingly enough, when I was testing out the latest version, I had a lot of problems with hover and menus and alias pseudo classes. Things like hover is one, active, before and after pseudo classes, and so forth. With CSS Hero, I was doing some edits, and they just were not working the way I expected. In contrast, the freemium micro themer worked very well across all those categories. It's the most robust CSS styler that I found. And we'll see just shortly that it's not totally inexpensive, but it's pretty good. Let's quickly look at the site origin CSS. This shows you in action. This is a free plugin, and I also recommend that you try either Yellow Pencil or CSS Hero. Then microthemer, we saw that in action, and it was the only one that was able to justify this paragraph and do all the changes that I wanted. Okay, I find it more complex than all the others, but that complexity is rewarded with its ability to do things that all the others can't do. Here's the interesting thing. It costs $78 for 3 websites, but that's with unlimited updates and support. So once you paid $78 for 3 websites, you got it for as long as you're coding with WordPress. I like that. I now tend to migrate to tools that give me a lifetime option. If I find it a robust plugin and tool, and they give me a lifetime option, then I tend to choose that. An example is I've bought Divi. I bought Divi 2 or 3 years ago, and I've got a lifetime and all the updates to it, all the updates to its extra theme, and all the updates to Bloom and Monarch and various other plugins all come along. And so lifetime is something that you have to very carefully consider. If you're going to use it, you foresee using it for many years. For example, I have a client that's using Beaver Builder, and they keep asking me, well, can we go lifetime? We hate having to constantly fret around every year to update the contract on it each year. And I say, sure, all you have to do is pay $499. Now they have specials from time to time, but the surprise is it's $499, and they're just haven't accepted that. Said, okay, we'll do the monthly updates. Okay, so I have 2 examples of how microthemer works. Here, one of the real strengths of the microthemer is the fact that you can do it with various page sizes. So in this case, we have it in mobile display mode, but you can also do it in tablet display mode. But even more interesting, you can create your own. Let's say you have a special handheld device that has its own unique media query breakpoints. You can code those in. If the supplier tells you what they are, you can code those in, and microthemer will then be able to allow you to code to that special device. So now we go to what I use most of the time for my page styling, and that is a page builder. And the top page styling, they're really the top page styling creators and editors right now in WordPress. I was looking at the new 5.4 version of WordPress with Gutenberg, and they're advertising the change in coding that's possible with Gutenberg. And the problem is, I don't have it actually shown here. Let's see if I can show you. You have to step out real quickly. Stop share. Let's go over. Start share. Go here. Share. I'm going to go into Bold Grid. Bold Grid is an interesting development tool. It allows you to have multiple websites in the cloud that are like having XAMPP or whatever on your local computer, but instead it's in the cloud. So that means you can show it to clients and to prospective clients right away, and that's a very useful capability. Here we have something being done. This is a sample page, okay, and I used the direct additional CSS changes. So I'm just going to step out of this, and I'm going to go into Cadence multi-content page row. Sorry, that's number 1. So all the posts. And go to this one, which is the Gutenberg version. Okay, sorry. I have to go into Classic. Sorry. I forbade use of Gutenberg, so I got to re-enable it. So we go into all plugins. Go into the Classic Editor settings. And we're going to now default to the block editor and allow users to switch editors, yes. And we'll save that. And so now, when we edit a Gutenberg file, it will be allowed, or a Gutenberg post, it'll allow you to see the Gutenberg post. Post, no. Don't want that one. So I'm going to go to Gutenberg 5.4 with Cadence. And I'm going to go to the block editor. So we're going to go edit block editor. Now, here's the problem with Gutenberg. Look at this page layout. You have no idea, unlike the live view that you get in page builders like Divi and Beaver Builder and Elementor, Visual Composer, Thrive, Architect. I mean, there's at least 7 or 8 excellent page builders. Notice you have no idea how the page is going to look. You can style the various items on the page. So for this block, I can do some stylings. I can change the image. I can change the size. I'm going to go to medium, and notice it got a little bit bigger. Let's make it 500. See, it got bigger, but there's intrusion with the Circe image and so forth. So we'll update this, and we'll see how different this page looks when you preview it. See, you had no idea it was going to look like this. That's the disadvantage that Gutenberg still has. I had really expected when Matt Mullenweg in last year said that, in 2018 said, our next phase is to go to the customizer and allow a live look to Gutenberg blocks. That just hasn't happened. So the editing associated with, yes, there's powerful tools. Like here, I'm using the Cadence block so that I can have 3 different items, and I can style each one of these items, or each one of these images and so forth. But seeing what I'm going to get is very, very difficult. Still very, very difficult. That's the big problem associated with Gutenberg. And the problem
Jack, you can admit, though, that your requirements are quite different from the average site owner who is working with a template and varying small elements to produce a blog post or a page, but isn't seeing this as a creation of a page, but rather a post, not creation of an entire page, but rather the content that he's working on in what we call the content area, which is to say,
Robin, I'll shoot right back and say to you, I've been presented by clients with Gutenberg pages where they've done various styling and layout, and it's just a dog's breakfast to get it from the point that they have it to the point where they want it. And
right, but when you look at that, though, and I guess what I find concern or find concern on my part is that there seems to be a lot of effort on tweaking styling when the time and effort involved could be better spent on the content of the site or the navigation of the site or the SEO optimization, the 200 other things that make a site worthwhile, than whether a particular text is justified left aligned or right aligned. That yes, that's important in one sense, but if it takes you more than a minute or two to adjust it, to me that's a questionable value as opposed to the same limited resource allocated to something that'll bring a bigger return. And that I guess what I'm saying is that there's a tendency when you pick up a hammer to look for nails. And so when you've got a page builder, just like in the prehistoric days of desktop publishing, why not have 27 fonts on a page when, after all, it's so easy now to do that, and it used to be so hard? Whether it actually contributes anything or not, anyway, I'm not really, I guess I'm just raising a concern that I'm not sure that it's such a big disadvantage with Gutenberg that at this stage of the game, it doesn't replace a page builder because it's still focused on the content area, and sort of complex layouts really aren't the point of a blog post.
Is this, Robin, that the page builders give you page styling plus the SEO, the content creation capabilities, the custom post type, and refinements that are yet to come in some cases, in the case of Gutenberg. And so there's a reason that 2 years after Gutenberg was introduced, it still has a rating among the plugins below 3 on 5. And the reason is
wait a sec though. You're comparing apples and oranges. We're talking about Gutenberg as part of the core, as opposed to Gutenberg, the plugin to get the advanced features before they're released to core. That's what the ratings are for. The ratings are the developer version, not the one that's in core. There is no plugin for the core aspect. The plugin is for the, so to speak, upcoming features as well as the core component.
Okay, I stand corrected. I'll take a look at that and see if that is exactly the way they pose it as. Okay, so let's continue on with why I like page builders as top page styling creators and editors. So notice that page builders enhance page styling in 2 ways. They make page layout and styling much easier with point and click settings, plus copy and paste ease. That's a second capability is being rapidly developed by all the page builders. So you don't see it uniformly standardized yet, whereas the point and click settings are fairly well standardized. We will see some copy and paste examples in the some of the pages below or slides below. They also make refining layout and styling easier with drag and drop, copy and paste operations. What do I mean by drag and drop? Well, one of the best page builders for drag and drop styling is a Breezy Pro or Breezy Pro, whichever you prefer. You can change margins and right directly on the page. You just go to the side of the window and just move it. And that's one of the things that makes Wix Builder so attractive. Wix allows you to not only do that, but to move portions of the page, objects and widgets on the page, and just drag and drop it anywhere on the page. Now, there's a downside to that Wix capability, and the downside is that it gets scrambled if you do that too often, and then you try to do a tablet view or a mobile view, because suddenly Wix can't figure out what would you want in a mobile page or a tablet. They just can't figure it out. And I've ran into that problem several times, and I just have had to abandon attractive and user demanded layouts because I couldn't figure it out in Wix how to change it. So Wix is the best, but best with a caveat associated with it in terms of doing layout with drag and drop ease. But page builders have revolutionized styling in WordPress, because all page builders, if they have this, the title of being a page builder, they deliver responsive layouts that can be customized. More or less, right out of the box, you are going to get responsive websites that respond to media query breakpoints and margin settings, and automatically do so. That's the price of entry to be called a page builder. All the top builders, page builders, also supply point and click styling options for all their widgets and row column layouts. That's a key feature that Gutenberg is just caught up with. Some of the new blocks in Gutenberg are really quite good in terms of giving you point and click styling of options, CSS and various other styling options, animations, color, and so on and so forth. They're not as complete as what you'll find in most page builders, but they've improved quite substantially. And what are some of these styling options? Well, there's CSS2, and CSS2 is margins and padding and text and so forth. CSS3 adds a whole bunch of shadowing and scrolling and animation capabilities. And CSS plus JS is available in most for animations and scrolling effects, is available for most page builders. The top of the line, which for me is Elementor, Divi, Beaver Builder, Thrive Architect, and one that's coming up really fast is Themify. But the problem is there's some problems associated with Themify. but the core page builders are very, very good. Now, Visual Composer, I used to include in that list, but there's a battle going on between the bakery boys and the Visual Composer guys. There's a bakery version of Visual Composer and a visualcomposer.io version, and I just don't know what's going on there. And so I've backed away from using Visual Composer until that the dust settles on that. But the key point is these stylings enable mobile responsive layouts for desktops, tablets, and mobile. We're going to show you that for a desktop, you can do one thing. Then for a tablet, you can change the styling. And then in the third case, for a mobile, you can change the styling again. So same page, but styling changes for each of those display modes. That's the real power of page styling, page builders styling. Even better, users can change some of the styling for a different look style, whether the page post is being displayed on mobile, or tablet, or desktop, and that includes the content. So you can change the content on what appears in a tablet and what appears in a mobile. Sometimes it's just turning things on and off, but not other times it's actually changing, let's say, a text statement, some of the words, and so on and so forth. The problem is that this is highly new. Beta burn is what you have to watch out for here. And page builders, with their templating, provide a way to copy CSS styling between websites. Templating is a real positive, and that's what I'll be covering in the next lecture on the 23rd, which I'm doing on page builders and theme builders. When do you move from a page builder to a theme builder? Okay, so pre-built mobile responsive. Here's a Beaver builder. This is from our page styling site, and here it is. In all I have to do is hit the middle icon to get the tablet view, and hit the first icon to get a view of the page in mobile view. And let's see, I'm not sure. I think you can change in Beaver Builder, you can change the breakpoint, but I'm not absolutely certain. But this is the basic pre-built mobile responsiveness that if you're a page builder, you do this. Otherwise, you don't qualify. The next level is custom mobile device settings. Notice what's happened here. I'm using Elementor in this case, but it also works. Divi has it, Beaver Builder has it, and so forth. You can change, in this case, for the mobile, I can change how the size of the text is. And in this heading, the heading here is Insights from Smart Slider Tales, and I can change what the size of that text will be. I can change not everything. You have to have this icon. There's one down here for the line height, but there is no change available in Elementor for decoration, for style, for transform, and so forth. So it's a limited set of stylings that are available. Likewise, I can change it for letter sizing as well. The little icon there shows that if I click on that, it'll pop up a series of choices, and then you can change the stylings for letter height and, or sorry, line height and letter spacing. And there's others as well. Notice text color is not available as in Elementor, but it is available in Beaver Builder, if I recall correctly. So this capability of page builder styling, custom mobile device settings is the battle scene among the various page builders. This is where, for example, Divi 4, the recent one that came out, enabled a whole slew of new specific mobile device stylings that were allowed. Okay, so now here what I want to show is one of the things that the page builders are doing is they're creating a huge number of styling options for every widget. This happens to be Elementor's third-party tool called Advanced Post Plugin from Ultimate Elementor add-ons. But look at all the control you have on, and these are useful controls. I can change the look and style of posts and how they're going to be displayed, how many on a page, is there pagination, what is an image, featured image going to be used, or can I put in a standard image, titling changes in terms of size and so forth. I tell you, this is my go-to post plugin whenever I'm using Elementor as my page builder. Elementor itself has, for its new gallery plugin, it's loaded with styling options that are very useful. It's such that I can contemplate using Elementor Pro. It's only in the Pro edition. It's not available. The super-powered Pro gallery is only a Pro option. But I can now say to myself, oh, I hate having to put in so many. Now I have websites with 25, 30 plugins. I'm trying to trim that back. Well, this gives me the option of trimming back Justified Gallery and Foo Gallery as gallery plugins, because I can do it within Elementor Pro. And so that's an attractive, we'll call them super widgets are starting to appear more often now from the various page builders. And the way they make themselves different and distinctive and innovative is they do it in terms of styling options and layout options. And also some features as well. For example, in this super plugin for posts, you can filter which posts will show up on a page. You can do it either behind the scenes or make it available to the client. And that's a nice capability. Okay, next we'll take a look at advanced animations and scrolling. This is just, I used to say to myself, oh gosh, I hate when I have to do animations because it's such a pain. And if something goes wrong, I got to go back to the JavaScript code and check out what's gone wrong. And it's, it's just a coding headache. Not anymore. all of the page builders do a really good job of animations, and their parallax capabilities. But the best right now is in Elementor. It gives you scrolling capabilities, motion effects, sticky sections, etc. Divi has improved quite a great deal in that regard just recently, again with Divi 4. And Beaver is starting to catch up, but they are, as you can see, Beaver has full animations, but limited scrolling and motion choices. And so, as I said at the outset, the various tools are distinguishing which are the capabilities that they want to promote their page builder and theme builder now tool in the marketplace. And they're being quite aggressive in terms of, for example, Divi went from 2 to 3, it took them about 2 years. From 3 to 4, it took them about 8, 9 months in terms of upgrading. And there are substantial additions in the new versions. So let's look at page builder styling, copy and paste. This is where you can really save time if you're doing styling. An example here, for this blurb, I got it styling right, and then I was able to move it from Divi over to another blurb with just a paste module styles command. So I copied it from here, I copy module styles, and then paste the style over on this blurb. And it so happens that I had 5 other blurbs on this particular page. And so it was just simply a copy and paste. Get the blurb contents right in terms of wording and content, and then copy the style so that it's useful or it's standard across the web page. Very, very useful, big time saver. So here's the downside to page builders trends. First, the latest page builders and CSS styling requires substantial learning curves to master all the nuances. And that's partially because the page builders vary from one to the other as to what specific what styling options they are going to implement. And so I find that each time it's like I have to learn it again if I switch from Beaver to Divi to Thrive Architect and so forth. Even on the drag and drop plus point and click styling, WordPress is succumbing to the complexity inherent with the underlying complexity of CSS plus HTML plus JS-based styling. It's more and more, it's like doing specialized coding. It's point and click, but you got to find out, where did I do that styling? Did I do it in the column? Oh, no, I did it in the row. Okay, but I didn't do all of them. I did some of the box shadow there, but the margins and padding I did over in the background color and the border I did in the overall section. And so, you know, that hunt and the peck to find where styling was done, even though the styling is easy to do, it can get lost and it can add to the work. Finally, JavaScript routines allow pages to react to usage and change the underlying CSS styling on the fly. That's one of the attractions of the React.js that's being used in a lot of front-end tools. The problem is that the CSS that originally was loaded is changed. And so you may have expected it to be such and such margins and no padding, and the CSS, or sorry, the JavaScript routine that's managing it through React.js says, no, I've got a virtual DOM that I control, and that virtual DOM controls your page, and that DOM is different than the preloaded DOM. Wow. Does that ever cause problems at times? Trying to figure out, oh, why is this happening? Well, it's happening because the tool and the plugin allows that to occur. Finally, despite efforts at standardization, every CSS styling plugin page builder has some unique operational steps. Definitely, it is happening now at the forefront, at the boundary of where things are done in terms of using plugins for styling, or page builders for styling, or even the styling plugins that we've reviewed. So now, I'm open to anybody that has wants to know more about any specific slide, or wants to see how they work in terms of problems that they're having, or just to see how it works. So I open it up to the group. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to look at Martin Silva, and he's waiting. Now he's in. So is there anybody that has a series of questions about any one of the slides, and they'd like to see? I showed you just what was done, but I can show you actual coding examples, or if they have a specific problem that with their websites or one of their pages, and they'd like some help, maybe we can apply some of the tools that we've seen. So I leave it open to the quorum, and I'm gonna look for chat. No questions in the chat. And go, or at least none here.
Hey, Jacques, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, Boris here.
Okay.
Fire
away.
About these page builders and that, what about speed and bloat? Code bloat.
Speed in what sense?
I started using Oxygen now. I'm the guy who emailed you that, and I'll get some interesting results with my hosting, which I use at SiteGround.
Right.
Usually, like on a WooCommerce site, I can get less than 3 seconds.
Right.
Type thing. So I haven't had a chance to play with, I guess, Eliminator, Divi, and Beaver Builder. But again, it's coming from the people at Oxygen. They have comparisons on their speed and also code size.
Right.
Divi and Elementor usually are pretty heavy. Same with Beaver Builder type thing. So have you noticed then much speed difference?
I just started to use Oxygen. Remember,
Okay.
Oxygen has a fairly formidable learning curve to master all its widgets and.
Oh yeah.
And
Tell me about it.
And so that's the trade-off that I've seen with Oxygen. I have seen the very thing that you mentioned, Boris, which is the advantage that Oxygen has in terms of speed. However, remember this, all of the major page builders are using some JavaScript, either React or Ember, or there's Salvo, is it Salvo, Simo? I can't remember, but there's about, and Vue.js and so forth. All of these tools are pretty fast. And so I'm not sure. Do you know, Boris, what they're using as Oxygen?
I don't know. I would have to ask them. They don't quite specify everything.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out what JavaScript engine they're using, or they may be using multiple engines. I have seen, let's see, where did I see that? Themify. Themify is now using multiple engines.
Okay.
And that's the intriguing thing about Themify. Very fast, almost as fast as Beaver in doing the layouts. I find Beaver to be the very fastest. Thrive is close, and Themify is close, but the fastest by far is Beaver when you're doing, the drag and drop operations and laying out a page and so on and so forth, or selecting a new widget and then waiting for the widget to display on the page. The wait is a lot slower with Beaver Builder and now Themify. But how's the performance? Well, I just haven't, see, I'm spread pretty thin. I now do things in terms of what does the customer need? And then I try to back that into what choices of a tool to use, and then get the performance testing for that. I will tell you, since COVID came on, clients have disappeared. I had 2 major projects to go, and they're not going. I have to select very carefully now what I do in terms of finding out about stuff for clients and so forth. And in that regard, let me do one additional thing and show people something that Elementor has put up. And let's do a share screen. And let's go back here, share. And let's see if I can find it. I thought I had it up here. Okay, let's go to expert. There it is. This is something, Elementor is offering this as a service. So I've put myself up, and I have gotten a few queries. They did this, they were going to launch this in June or July of this year. What it does is allow people to show what they can do, okay? And so I put up some of the sites that I've been working on within the last year. And I also am advertising this, the next meetup presentation, a review of WordPress page builders versus theme builders. And this is such a huge topic, I'm now afraid of it. I'm going to have to cut it down to size. But in any case, see what you can do. You can show people some of the websites that you've worked on, and you can then, they can go to a specific website and see the details. And it has also the ability to find an expert. So here's the experts. We're going to put in a location is Toronto. Spell it right. It might work better. And here are people that are advertising. I should be in this list. Good. They're saying, and they're not, come on. Oh, sorry, I'm going to the bottom.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
But see what it is? But if you put in expertise, and let's say I put in development, I think I do better. And let's say development, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, skills, let's say header and footer. Bang, I'm at the top of the list. But I've gotten some nibbles out of this. One very small fix-it type contract, and two more serious things. But boy, I'll tell you, this COVID thing has changed the ballgame quite substantially in terms of just keeping a constant contact with a potential client. So this is free of charge. It's in beta as far as they're concerned, and I am somewhat disappointed with the expertise. There's only 3 categories of expertise, and the skills, they're primarily Elementor, and the WordPress skills it's a strange list.
Yeah.
Then you can add some general categories in terms of your skills, and again, that list is just a little suspect. And they also have price range and location and language capabilities. But it's fairly easy to use. Let's just go quickly to mine. And we'll add a project. And to add a project, you put in the project name, what's the project length, service type, add skills, and so forth. With that, we'll cancel this. That allows me to create something like this. Sorry, let's go to my my profile. Where is my profile? View my profile. This is an overall heading image, and this is the individual projects, and I should be able to click on it. Oh, it has all the information that's associated with it. I'm capable of doing motion effects, custom CSS, and so on and so forth. I admit, so far, but I've only had it up for 5 days. I have gotten 2 nibbles, as I say. One was a quick fix-it, and the other was, or actually, there was 2, and they just haven't come back. So, just an advisory as to what you can do at this point in time. So let's go back. I'm going to close off the meeting. Let's see, unless people have questions and specific queries as to what they would like to see. I'll stop the share. So if people have some very specific questions on the presentation, in terms of page styling and so forth, now's the time to, or they have a problem. If you have a problem that needs fixing, here's maybe an opportunity to try one of the tools that we have tried out. or we've discussed. Anything coming? Let's see. I'll go over to chat.
I'm trying to get in here, but this is only my second Zoom meeting, so I couldn't get in first. And in the kind of the CSS, did you do something in the beginning of the meeting before I could get in?
Yeah. Let me just go back and give you a quick overview, Martin.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll switch back into share mode, and we'll look at we'll go to the top, and we'll do a quick overview of what we discussed.
Oh yeah, you have the slides, yeah.
And the basic thing was, I'm saying that WordPress CSS styling tools and techniques has allowed them to reach the top of the CSS market by providing ease of use with no coding required. But this extends beyond just CSS styling or page styling. It's all the features within WordPress, and those were examined here. If you go back to 2004, you see that no coding, 5-minute install. That was way ahead of the field. I remember roughly 2005, 2006, I was trying to get out of my HTML and get into, I first looked at Joomla, and then I looked at Mambo, which was a Joomla derivative, but I didn't know it. And then I looked at Drupal, and they just, it wasn't easy getting started. And the big convincer was roughly 2007, 2008, with enhanced visual editing with auto spell check and save, and on your post and page screens, you could choose between text styling and visual editing. As far as I'm concerned, that closed the deal for me. And then WordPress has added a lot of other ease of use features. Now, what's really interesting is WordPress plugins have brought that same ease of use to page styling or CSS styling. The plugins allow you to embed code, and so first you find where your problem is, and then you embed the code right in your WordPress site. And I use this as an emergency tool. I resort to page builders most of the time for styling, and particularly for animations and scrolling effects. And they're pretty robust in almost all the page builders. So it's only when I have a problem and I can't get it worked out that I use CSS tools like Embed Code, Custom JSS, and Site Origin or Yellow Pencil and so forth, which allow you the advantage of Site Origin CSS and Yellow Pencil and Micro Themer is the fact that you can not only identify where the problem is, but then you can go and change it right away, and that change is robust. It doesn't fall to the wayside if you change themes or change page builders. In effect, think of Yellow Pencil and Micro Themer as page styler plugins that are independent of the theme and page builders that you use. So that's very powerful and very useful.
How do you insert them in your site in order to be able to look at the?
Okay, we'll just go to one of the ones that we'll quickly look. No, we're going to go down one more. Here. This is the Site Origin CSS. And one of the things I wanted to change was it is changed in the site origin CSS, and allows you to find where the code needs to change, and then it puts it in the code. It creates a special CSS style file and adds that to the header of the specific page that you're changing, or you can make it cross-site. And that gets a little bit complicated. And another one, microthemer CSS, is even more powerful because it can do things that site origin CSS can't see. Let's take a quick look at, we'll stop here, and we'll go back in. Now, if people want to step to the sidelines and make an exit, there's no problem, but I'll stay on for as long as people have questions. Let's see, what time? 5:30. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we got plenty of time. We've got till 6, or sorry, till 7. And then
And
Zoom
these
is
things, this site origin and micro themes to be able to look at the code. Do
yeah,
you
yeah, that's
download
exactly what I wanted
this
to do.
as a an additional plugin?
Yep. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into, here's the theme. Okay, we're currently in microthemer, so I'm going to exit that. This does the same thing. Real quickly in microthemer, what we would do is we're going to target a specific line. One of the things that I wanted to do was get this home in red and centered. Okay, now that most page builders will handle that. That's not a problem. But it actually turns out that justify was a real pain in the ass, and we did that also in microtheme. So just to see how it works, you tell it, this is how microthemer works. It's different, and we'll see that in site origin CSS. So first you say target, okay? Then you go, and here's the specific thing I want to target. And I want to create an entry title, new, okay? And I want to edit, and so there's a whole bunch of editing. Well, the first thing I want to do is for the font, I want to change the color. And so I go here and change the color, and whoa, and behold, it is changed. And now I want to change the alignment. Notice also one of the things, for every styling change, yours truly, microthemer, provides you with a pop-up window, which tells you, oh, here's what what type of control you have over font size. And if you want to, you can see and then what you have for line height and font style and so on. So it's a live help center. I find this very helpful. Okay, so I want to get this. Oh, I should have looked at it. So let's go back in. Because what I want to do is, sorry. I want to get under text. I want to get text align. So here's the control that I have under text align. So now for this header, header title, I can change that. And I switch over to text, and I switch to text align, and I say center, and it puts it in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And I can now, let's say I want to get all of this code here, this block of code in white, where the not the header or the menu, but just the code underneath and not the sidebar. I want to get that with a white background. So I go to Target and see what it's done. It's highlighted a possible, so I want this one, and the specific selector, CSS selector I'll be using is this, and I can now go in and let's see if I can get the background color to go white. There it is. Bang, done. That's the advantage of things like site. I can show you the same thing for site origin. In fact, let's do that. So what we'll do is we'll just turn that off, turn everything off, go to history, and reset everything. Okay, yeah. Notice what it's going to do. Home is back and left justified, and it's black and white. So now that's the page. I'm now going to exit. Sorry. Go back in. This is the site. This is the home page. And now we're going to use, sorry, I've gone to the wrong place. Go to themes. The site origin is in a different place. It's under themes, custom CSS. So I've loaded, let's go take a look at that. If we look at the plugins, notice how many plugins I have, too many. I've got, partially that's because this is a demo website. So for example, I have pods, custom post types. I've got CPT UI. I've got micro themer. I've got a lot here, and I've got several extra sliders and so on and so forth. It's a test website. But the important point is I can mix all these, and so far I've had a minimum of conflict among the plugins. I gotta find some wood. Oh, here's some wood. I'm knocking on it. Okay, so I want to go into customize, and we'll go in custom CSS. Now, you click on that, and that's going to take us to the site origin CSS. Notice some of this has been commented out. This is a comment in CSS. If we take the comment out, watch what happens here. The code becomes live, as you can see. So what happens if you go and expand this and see what happens on the page? Whoa, all the changes are done. Home is in the center. White is under here, and I even added an extra couple of things. I put a background, and I made the styling for the, and you'll see that color is font size is 43 pixels. Text align is thinner. Sorry, background color. This is gray. Font title size is 20, and this is. So watch. If I turn this off, this should disappear. Let's see if it does. So we'll put in a comment, a CSS comment, and that's a quick way of checking what each one of these stylings is doing. Right there. Slash. Asterisk. And notice that it turned it off. The fonts became smaller and the gray underline or gray background disappeared. But the other things did not disappear because, as you can see, those are active. I did turn something else off. Oh, text align justify. Oh, that was something that didn't work. See, I was trying to get this to justify. Let's see if we can do it this time, but I don't think so. I'm a devil of a time trying to get this work. Let's just quickly do it. Now, as you can see, site origin CSS is telling me this is the text that should be. So I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to put in text align. Now you have to know your CSS. And in these special cases that I find that it's no, didn't put in a colon. Text align, colon, justify. Is it going to do it? Semicolon. No. See, it didn't. This didn't text align. But interestingly, these did. And I tell you, the only guy that could do it was a micro-themer. Could identify where the text align should occur and could replace center with justify. And I don't know why site origin is not able to do this. So what I'll do is I'll remove these because I know I don't want those. But I'll restore this, which should put the gray background across these images and these rows. And there it is. And the font size is slightly bigger. As you can see, let's make them really big. Make it 32. You can do whatever you want. So we'll make it back to 20. Yeah, that's a little more effective. So does that explain to you, Martin, what we were doing in terms of showing how you could insert CSS into your website specifically?
So it's download the plugin.
Yeah.
And
once you download it, we'll quickly go and take a look at that. We'll get out of this. We'll save this. Yeah, I often forget to hit this save CSS, and then all the changes that I've worked on disappear. So do not forget that. They should have a caution on that, but they don't. So now let's go to plugins. Installed plugins. We'll add new. And so we'll put in site origin. Watch what happens when I put in site origin. By the way, CSS, it's all, and I say CSS, and they move that over, but they tell me it's already active. You already got it. You would see install now and then activate. Okay. And that would put it in. And note where it gets put in. It doesn't get put in as a standalone plugin. It's put under the appearance tab. Right there. That's what causes it to be incorrect. So I find that site origin, because it's free and because it's pretty robust, I use it, unbeknownst to a lot of my clients, I've snuck it into their list of plugins, because that means if they ever have a problem with CSS styling, which they can't get solved with their theme or their page builder, I've got a resort, and I don't have to go through and add the new and all the rest, often the tedium of putting in site origin CSS. So I use it as a safeguard in terms of CSS styling. I use now microthemer more often because it is, particularly for websites where the client has a lot of styling changes, and that's typically a shopping site. I have a client in not Belleville, she's in south of Belleville. It's Brighton, and near the park there. And she sells various stuff, and she wants to put on specials. And those specials require putting in styling for those specific special pages that they're landing pages in effect. And those landing pages have their own menus, and they have their own styling, separate from her general website. And so I used to use site origin CSS, but I couldn't solve all the problems, so I moved up to microthemer, and so far microthemer has solved all the problems that.
And for someone that's just starting and doesn't know coding, then you feel that microthemer is more intuitive?
Microthemer requires, but remember what microthemer does. It allows you, for every styling option, it has a pop-up page that for all the options, as we saw in the case of styling for the text align, there were all the options that were available to you. And that's true for every one of the styling options in microthemer. Here you have this. See, what it allows me to do is I will say, I'll choose this. Let's say I choose the main header bar, okay? That's this. And I say, see, you don't need to know the CSS. I could change the text color to red. And then I would hit this. Didn't like that. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let's try that again. By the way, this page builder testing site is exactly that. So I'm more than willing to try different things in it because it's a test site. And so I thought if I header bar, there, let's go to this. There's the text color. Let's change the font. Let's see. Font style. I can do text transform and make this all caps, uppercase. And as you see, it did that. Oh, the font family. Get a Google font selector. Okay. Oh, I have to pay for that. Don't want that. They have The only thing that they charge for is if you want to use Google Font, they have a special selector that will work inside Origin CSS. Forgot about that. That's the only thing. Okay, so font, let's change the font family to Georgia. Did I spell it right? Let's see if I did. Nope, I didn't spell it right. In fact, it rejected it. Okay, let's put an underline. Let it accept that. Oh, not AST container. Wrong place. I want it to be entry title. And I want it to underline. Text decoration, underline. And it put that underline in. Or I could put in a scratch out. Or I could, what is A? Oh, back to normal. Okay, and what else do I have? Text align, text indent, letter spacing, word spacing, white space, text shadow. Oh, let's see if it does text shadow. Normally that's 6, so 5 pixels. 5 pixels. Did you see it? It did it. But see, I had to know the so what we'll do is we'll make this 2 pixels instead of 5 pixels. And the shadow looks a lot more natural. So that's the type of thing. And notice you do need to know your CSS, and sometimes you need to know HTML as well. But this tries to help you do it without having to know the CSS. So let's do right justify. Yeah, there it is. It's moved it. I didn't have to know text align colon right was the correct CSS to do that. All I had to do was hit this to get text align, the equivalent of text align center. And let's just clear this. Let's actually take a look. We said this, and let's see, text align center, text transform uppercase. There's text shadow. Notice it says text shadow 2 pix gray. So I would have had to know text dash shadow colon would create, but I had to know 2 pix gray. And so, and that's been inserted in, and that will, if we do this, we go back to the start page and save the CSS, and then go to the site. It should be there, still be there, and it is. And notice even the home is all caps, and it has a simple text shadow. So that gives you an idea of what you're capable of doing with some of the immediate CSS styling tools. Are there any other questions, Martin, or does anybody else have questions as to?
Now I can practice the CSS until the next meeting.
Sorry?
Now I can practice a little bit until.
Yeah, but the next meeting, we're looking at WordPress page builders versus site builders. Now the problem with that is that it's a huge topic. I've started on it already, and I'm getting, as I said, afraid of it. I'm going to have to whittle this down to a much more manageable size. I may make it page builders versus theme builders, and look at specific things within the theme builders. For example, templating is available in some theme builders, and in other cases, it's available in just the Pro edition of the tool. And so you say to yourself, well, it's not really a theme builder, etc., etc. And second thing is a lot of page builders use themes to like Astra and Ocean WP and Total and so forth, which allow you to control whether there's a sidebar or no sidebar, there's a header or no header, there's a footer or no footer, there's a breadcrumbs or no breadcrumbs, there's a featured image or no featured image, and so forth. Those themes change the ball game, because then page builders that are not true theme builders, such as Live Composer and to an extent Themify, those tools suddenly are promoted up. They've got all the capabilities that Beaver Themer or Divi Theme or Elementor Pro templating allow you. And so it's, I think I may have to slim this down, and I'll probably do so within the week so that people are aware of the changes and whittling down of what is to be discussed.
I keep coming across that term, the breadcrumb. What is the breadcrumb?
A breadcrumb, it's a series of things across the page. It's best I show you by going into, let's see, I believe Beaver Builder uses it. So I have to find a Beaver Builder page, and I find that by going to Home, and we go here. Oh, sorry. And we put, we say, go into Beaver Builder. Now, important thing to note here, Martin, is I'm using 3 different page builders all on the same website, and they are not interfering with each other. That's a useful piece of information to know. Now, does it do it? I don't think so. See, there's not the list. Maybe it's on the bottom. No. Okay, so let's go to where do I know absolute certainty that it has what it would be in Beaver. I know it's not in Elementor. I know it's not in Divi. Oh, it's in Thrive Architect. Okay, so let's go over to Thrive. Let's hope I'm in, I'm signed on here. This is my personal portfolio web page, and I'm not, so I have to sign in. And so we'll do a WP admin. Whoops. Okay. Okay, so log in. Okay, and I'm going to go to any one of those pages that use or posts. Let's go to pages, all pages. Notice I'm using both Elementor and Thrive. Which one is using Thrive? I know for sure. I believe it's this one. Edit with Thrive Architect. Okay, now select this. See what happened across the top? These are breadcrumbs. So it says I'm pointing to link text, and above that is text, and above that is the column, and above that are all the columns. So it is a fast way of navigating within your own website. You can add breadcrumbs. Let's just, I can't remember. I have Visual Composer, I know uses them. Or maybe the WP Bakery version of Visual Composer. That's such a mess. So here we go. There's the link text. And it allows you then to get down to the, as you're editing in Thrive Architect, down to the specific portion of the page that you want to be on. So I click here and it's saying columns. I click here and it says it's an image. And I click, let's see. And over here, I click and it resets and it says it's WordPress content, etc. And that speeds up the processing within, and you can use it on your website. So let's just see real quickly. We're going to go to WordPress. We're going to look for a breadcrumb plugin. First, we'll go to plugins. We'll search among the plugins, and we'll look for breadcrumb. Okay, there's 800,000 users of Breadcrumb Nav XT. And here's Breadcrumb. And this one has been tested and it's free. So let's just, and then there's Flexi Breadcrumb and Catch Breadcrumb. This is a good exercise because it shows you how you can quickly decide which breadcrumb or which plugin you would want to use. Breadcrumb Nav XT has 114 reviews and 800,000 active installations. If we go here, we see that's only 10,000 here and 27 reviews. Flexi has a perfect score but only 5,000 active websites, etc., etc. So let's quickly take a look at Breadcrumb Nav XT. Okay, it requires PHP 5.3 or and you're probably at 5.4.2, so that shouldn't be a problem. And let's see, built in WordPress widget, extensible via, okay, WPML, so if you have several languages, and also Polylang, and BBPress, and BuddyPress. So it works across 2 or 3 of the multi-user settings. Okay, so let's take a look. Breadcrumb, NavXT settings. Oh, notice they use the code and the fonts and the categories and miscellaneous. So, having raised the question, I'll probably take a look at this and put it in my private little testing system. Okie dokie. So that gives you a quick idea of
Yep.
what breadcrumbs are and how you can. This is free of charge. I imagine there's going to be a let's see, support. Okay, get the latest one. It goes back 9 years. Holy shit. 4 years ago, 2 years ago.
So they don't line them up by date.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong column. 5 days ago, 1 week ago, and so on and so forth. So it's fairly actively supported.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm going to. I have to do my taxes.
Oh, yes.
And the reason is that if you don't have your latest taxes in, they are less likely to accept what you say is your current earnings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I got to do my taxes.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's good.
Stay healthy. Thank you.
So any other questions? Going once, going twice. Maria, any questions? Kathy, any questions? Okay, I'm going to stop the share.
Thank you, Jack. That was very good. I enjoyed that. Looking forward to the next one.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Clapping hands. Oh, that's very helpful. Very appreciated. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting unless there's any call to action. And going once, going twice. Yeah, it's gone, guys. We'll see you. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.